Today, AI automations made simple with Google Workspace Studio. I am your host, Nate Rahek. I started my own SaaS 13, almost 14 years ago. Holy cow, coming up in January. Before that, I earned my master's in education. It's one of my first passions, just helping people leverage technology and marketing and all of that stuff to really get more productive and to let your impact scale. And AI is helping us do that now more than ever. I also work as a pragmatic AI consultant to help individuals as well as organizations navigate all of the hype and focus on the useful things we can get done today to actually make a difference. My 3 goals for everybody on the call is I want you to walk away today with clarity, number 1, on what an AI agent is and why is everybody talking about them. Why is there so much damn hype? Despite its limits, I'm going to inspire you guys to give Google Workspace Studio a try as soon as you can get access to it, because it's such an awesome place to start. And if nothing else, we're going to practice our delegation and orchestration thinking, because what I like to teach is a lot of the things we're going to learn today about how to think about what parts of our day-to-day work can be delegated consistently and reliably to AI agents. I want that to be tool agnostic. I want you to be able to jump around to the different tools that fit your tools and your preferences, etc. So I want to kick it off with just doing a quick reaction video to Google's launch video of this new tool. It's still in beta. There's not a lot of people have access to it, but I had a blast poking around under the hood. And I'm going to call out the impressive things to really notice, as well as some of the things that I'm a little less impressed with. So let's just take a look. Of course, effortless automation. It's a lot easier to use than a lot of automation platforms I've seen in the past. What's interesting is you can see they're building this directly alongside of Gmail. So that's where it's really starting, is inside of Gmail. And then they're going to extend from there. So letting you review all of your emails for you, draft responses, analyze what's in each email, decide if it needs a human response or not. Is it urgent? Does it require action items? There's some interesting things here. And so that you can stay more efficient in your inbox. I think there's this funny kind of chicken and the egg, right? Where now that AI can generate so many emails, we need some more AI to handle all of this inbound coming into one of our most important channels still, which is email. So let me jump through some of the teaser of what I think are the highlights. Number 1, you can see this clue that you're going to get this icon right here in Gmail. For most of the day, I'm going to be working in the full studio part, but it's nice to have these 2 kind of side-by-side UIs where you can see it working for you. You can check on its progress to see if there's any errors, etc. It does come with a good set of templates. And whenever anybody's starting with something technical at all, I always recommend starting with a template. And this is for sure true here. They claim to have this neat little demo where you can explain the automation you wanted to create. That's not done yet, or at least it's not working very well. Maybe it'll get there. I'll show you some cool ways I like letting AI build workflows for me. I'll save that as an advanced tip to the end. But nonetheless, it comes out of the box with some really good templates. And it's by far, its strengths are an easy to learn and easy to follow logic and interface, especially when compared to a lot of the different automation tools out there. Let's see. So one of the quick kind of distinctions I wanted to make off the bat is this is all within Google's Workspace's world, right? In their Google ecosystem, which means you can't choose a different model to draft or write your emails. You can't have the email written or analyzed by Claude or by ChatGPT. You have to use Gemini's model, and Currently, you can't even decide which model it is. Is it one of their cheaper ones? Is it a flash model, or is it the brand new thinking model? We don't know. So I hope, hopefully they'll add that fidelity eventually. But I think that the right anchor today is this is about drafting, right? It's doing a lot of the prep, having an assistant that's really saving you time by doing the parts of your job that are just in the way or that are annoying. And I think we get good at that. It frees up our time to do the more strategic. And doing some of my demos, remember, I got advanced access to here. Some days it was working and running, and other days I was getting this message a lot. So it was frustrating because I wanted to test some more things. But I do think it's evidence of tremendous demand. I think so many people use, and we're operating Google all day, every day, some purpose-built tools to make it more streamlined and efficient. There's definitely some demand. And of course, no Workspace tool can launch anytime, anywhere without everybody screaming, oh, this is the N8N killer. This is the Zoom killer. This is going to kill that. It must just get too many clicks because they're everywhere. But I assure you, this is not replacing N8N. This is not replacing Zapier or other tools. It's meant to be really purpose-built for the Google ecosystem and some much simpler automations. Even though I can build more complicated things in N8N or other tools, I'm probably still going to use Google Workspace Studio for my Gmail specific things because it's so nicely integrated into the system. So I'm going to walk you through 4 quick examples or 4 sections today. Number 1, we're going to start with inbox triage on autopilot is one of my most exciting ones because if you're like me, we got some old inboxes that are just full of crap. We're going to walk through how you can ground the drafting, like the reply to certain emails, using documentation so that it's more accurate. It's not hallucinating as much as it might in other scenarios. And then I'm going to talk about some of the theory here of why I think agents are important and cutting through some of the hype. What does it actually mean to have an AI agent when it's fully autonomous or not, et cetera. And then I'm going to wrap up with showing you where I think this is going to fit into my kind of tool belt of automation tools. Here we go.
And
number 1.
Nate,
so
I just wanted to ask, we've got a question.
Oh, let's do it.
About how can you access Google Workspace?
Yes.
So like, how would someone set this up to start trying it out?
You need, right now, I don't think everybody can get access and they're limiting it who can get it turned on right now. But once they're turning it on, it will go to anybody on a paid Google Workspace account. So if you have a business account or a paid Google Workspace, you have to go into your admin settings and then just toggle on the labs feature. But right now, they're not even giving more accounts out right now because they're just overwhelmed with excitement and demand.
Got it.
Great question, Aparna. I love it. Okay. So I'm going to walk through an example where we're going to have AI read every email and decide, it's an important verb, what needs my attention. Do I need to reply to an email or not? I've got a specific use case where I did it on an email address I've had for 14 years now. And there's every once in a while, mostly it's noise. Like even though I've unsubscribed from a bunch of things, it's such an old email that I'm still bombarded with a bunch of crap and I can't turn it off. I can't let it go to the wasteland because once in a while I do get important emails that have notifications or alerts or humans reaching out that I need to find it. And my biggest fear is I'm going to miss some of those mission critical things. And now I don't have to worry about that anymore. Once we decide if it needs me, does it need a response or not? If there's no response needed, I'm just going to archive it, right? I'm going to tag it with something so I can always go back to look at and check the work. You always want to trust but verify. I'm going to be able to check the work on, did I miss anything? I could still go through there periodically and just make sure. And then my inbox just becomes only the things I need to take action on. Let me walk through the interface here. So when you first log in to a template, it comes pre-populated like this, where step 1 is the trigger or the starter? What begins this workflow? And for this one, I'm choosing all emails. And the next one I show you, you can actually do some filters and narrow it down to only start when you get specific other emails. Let's do the example. I've got way too many emails every day in my inbox, even though they're promotional. I'm going to get it down to the only thing that's going to show up in my inbox are the ones that are actual humans. And when this is fully working, it will even suggest a reply if you want to build that level of fidelity into the workflow. So here we go. Starting with a template. You can check over here in the Discover section when you log in. They come with a good assortment of starter templates. I'm sure this will only grow. Right now, for this example, I'm going to start with notify me about emails with action items. Okay, so here's the starter, that very first starter element. Remember, this is what it looks like. If I wanted to filter more narrowly on specific emails, I could do that here. I could choose a label where it only starts when certain labels are already applied, or it's from certain people, or has certain words. That's pretty powerful. Now, the next step, once I've gotten the email, and I left mine set to just all emails coming in, there's these really cool new simplified kind of pre-built agents where this is like the generic AI agent where you've got to handle all of the prompting and all of the instructions and narrow it down. And we're going to use one of those later. But what's really exciting are these starter AI skills, they're calling them, where because Google has taken the time to do all of like the system prompting for you, it's a lot better at this very narrow specific task where it's really good at recapping unread emails or extracting key information from each email. We're going to use the decide skill where its only job. Remember, if you're giving a new intern a job, you're not sure if they can handle the complexity of all of it. What do? You chop it down into the smallest, most discrete task so that you make sure they understand it and can be successful at it. That's what we're doing here. We're chopping this down into the smallest step. Hey, read this email and decide if, see, it says here, have Gemini report if your conditions are true or false. So does this email include action items for me? An action item is a direct question, and this is all pre-populated in the template. And then I was able to add the variable, and this one got duplicated here. You just add the email subject and the email body. And so that Gemini can read all of this, and these all come pre-populated because I chose this option with requires response. You could do another version of this where it's primarily designed to identify intensity. Is this urgent? You could have a different one where it knows you need a response and it's urgent, and then it's going to alert you or send you a chat, right? Or if something's overdue. I didn't play with that one. I like this first one. Okay. Now there's an important connection. This is the one thing that's a little tricky. If you notice this little line connector here and here, they don't make that obvious. Those are connected to this decision node. So it's either going to be true or false. Those are the options, right? Does it need my help or not? And so I chose false. I flipped this around. This is the benefit of starting with a template where they wanted to just flag things when they like add a tag or put it into a folder if it needs a response. For me, because this is letting me archive, I'd rather just clean my inbox out completely so that my inbox is the one area where I actually want to pay attention. That's my to-do list. Those are my things I need to take action on. And that's why I flipped this around. So I set this to false, meaning if this is an email that doesn't need my reply, then I'm going to add a label, and I created a new label, and I call it reply not needed. You can create your own. You can, if you choose the AI powered ones, it'll generate some cool options that if you can't have trouble thinking of them. But I already just created this label in my account and that was visible. So I could just check the box. So now it's going to add it that way into that folder. The next step is it's going to archive it, right? It's going to take it out of my inbox. And I'm choosing this email. That's really, it was pre-populated because it's the email ID from up here, and it's going to archive that email. Okay. Then I added this step. This is probably unnecessary, but I just wanted to show you an example that there's a lot of AI automation tools that have branches where they'll come in like this, and then there's a if node, and then if it's true, it goes that way, and if it's false, it goes that way. I couldn't figure out how to do that. But you just add another step. So I just clicked add sub-step, and then it became another check if decision. And so I just changed that to true. So essentially, you can have things happen. You can have a set of things that'll happen every time, both if it's true and if it's false. So this time I wanted to just star the email. This action could have easily been send it a chat or add to a document or some other action. But the powerful thing to remember is I can now do if this is false or if this is true after this decision is made, after the decision of, do I need to take action on this email? All right. One more example of if I wanted to add one more step. Here's some of the examples right now. When I first got access to the beta, there were integrations with Salesforce, Asana, and a couple others, but they're getting so overwhelmed that some of these features were actually pulled out. So again, good indicator of the demand for this tool and the power when we start adding back in some of these integrations to the other places you do work, where your work starts in email and you want to take action for you on your behalf in other platforms. That stuff's coming. And you can, of course, just say, hey, this is an urgent one. You could say, hey, this is an urgent reply. That would be a separate flow where it's deciding that it's urgent, right? Okay, so we decided, do I need a response or not? If not, we archived it, and now my inbox is only focused on what I really care about. Really powerful. Before you go and do this, I just took a minute. I wanted to pass off this quick tip. I don't know if a lot of people know this is there. Part of the problem is we're might be subscribed to too many things. And even though they should be staying in the promotions tab, they end up in primary. If you come into your inbox in Gmail and click more, it opens up this new feature called Manage Subscriptions, and then gives you a list of everything you're subscribed to. And then there's a little button that lets you just one click, actually two click. Unfortunately, I wish it was one. Two click unsubscribe from anything that you want to unsubscribe from. So that is inbox on autopilot. Billy, any questions coming in that I should address on that first section?
Yeah, I think people are just wondering what the rollout's going to look like. I know you probably don't have those answers, but do you have a feel for, are they going to roll this out to everyone? Are they going to roll it out so everyone can opt in? Or
I'm pretty confident in the documentation, it explains what type of account level is required. And I think it's just the base Workspace account type. I have concerns that when something has this much demand, that they might have to charge more for it. I think they're underestimating the token use of so many people, of it being so easy. And this is going to read all my emails. That's a lot of stuff to read. Yeah. So I think that they might have underestimated the demand for something like this. There's a lot of unknowns. The fact that they turned features off in beta, there's some weird things happening. I think Google is doing a ton. You just mentioned you were working on a new tool they just launched this week. Google is definitely catching up in this AI tools race. Sometimes they run a little faster than they need to, I think, and there's some implications. But I think this one, I wish I had a clear answer. I don't know exactly when it's all going to be GA. Hopefully soon, because people are making a lot of noise about it. Awesome. You're very welcome, bud. Okay, let's dig into having it reply to an email. But especially when I can't control the model, one of the biggest things we know we can all do, this is in my foundations course, in order to make writing or drafting any type of content better, is to give AI context, to narrow it on information about your business, your products, your services, your goals, whatever it is. I'm always a big fan of creating like a custom gem or a custom project so that you're not just basing, because a lot of models, they want to please you so much that they'll just make stuff up when they don't know an answer, and we can't have that. So this is a good solution to letting at least try to respond to some of your emails, but referencing some of your own in-house data. We're going to connect a doc. This is another feature. When I first got access, you could connect it to a gem, which is exciting, but they turned that off too in beta.
What is a gem?
Great. Thanks for interrupting. So a gem is the one unique name. ChatGPT calls it a project or a custom GPT. Those are very similar, but different. Claude calls it, or Cursor, Claude calls it a project also, where you can attach not just one doc to a chat, but multiple, 10, 20 documents, along with custom instructions and contents and examples, all of it. It's a really efficient way to manage context. I've got a couple different videos in the foundations course about, I think that 90% of my work is either building projects or using projects, because it's just night and day, right? It's 10x more useful when AI knows who I am, what I'm doing, what the rules are, what good looks like, what bad looks like. So using a gem when that feature is turned on is going to be huge. For today, I'm just going to show you a doc, and that's a good halfway point for today. Good question. So I'm going to pause with an analogy here. Remember, this is the orchestration skill basic. Whenever we're not sure if an intern or an assistant is going to succeed at this task, the way we can increase the odds of success is by chunking and delegating, right? Giving it a discrete, focused task. A lot of times it's a symptom, really, if you think of just as a manager, it's a symptom of not having enough time to give all of the explicit instructions in the right order, making sure they know exactly how to do things, where it's just faster to say, nope, here's one project, just do that. And then when you're done with that, come back to me and I'll give you the next. Using workflows, it's a perfect analogy for how to increase the success rate of your workflows, is breaking it down into small chunks. So each agent has a specific narrow focus. Each agent does their part and then brings it back. My favorite analogy of this is when you're working on a puzzle, you don't just start pulling it all together, right? You break it into small, discrete tasks. First, you find the edges, then you sort by color, then you build the corners, right? Same thing with delegating tasks to humans. It works when delegating to agents or automations. So now we're going to go back to the Discover tab, and this is the template I'm starting with, is drafted email replies to questions using a doc and Gemini. Let's dig in. So for this one, I chose specific emails, and if you know that, let's say you have multiple inboxes coming into your main one, and if anybody's sending emails to support then I would put the support email address right here. And that way, this is only running on a specific subset of the emails that you're receiving. Now, in the decide,
I have a clarifying question.
I love it.
When you're setting these up, is this just for your inbox or your whole workspace rules?
A good question. This is tied to a specific email address. Your Workspace account, when you log into Workspace Studio, you are logging in with a specific email address, and that's your main. When it says when I get an email, that it's that email address that you're logged into here. Really good question, Billy. I love it. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to explain variables for a second. Variables are like the baton in a relay race, where each agent is in charge of one thing, and then it changes it tweaks it does something, makes a decision, and then it passes on a baton, and that's a variable. So right here, the trigger or the starter is the email is received, and it's a specific type of email, right? Now, this action is decide. Does this email include questions that require a response? Here's the email, and here's the one we're going to receive. So if this wasn't populated, I would push on variable, and I have one option to choose from, which is the one up here. Okay? So now that gets populated. Okay. So its one job is just to decide. It's going to say true or false. And now we build the check if step, where we're going to build what are we going to do as a result of this decision. So if the decision is true, if there are questions that need responses, what do we need to do? First, another agent's little job is to extract. So this is one of those AI skills, right? We're going to ask Gemini to extract those questions, and it found those questions in this step here, and then pass the baton down into step 5, where I can then say, here are the questions that this extraction step found. And now this is the part of writing. This word is the words and verbs are important, so I'm going to be a stickler on them. Let me back up for a second. So this first one here was extract. It was supposed to find if there was questions, and it turns it into a variable that gets passed off here. So this is going to be one or more questions that get passed off, right? Now, in this phase, we're asking Gemini, and when we ask Gemini, what are we going to get back? In the main, this is the AI agent node, right? It's just going to generate some text back. And what we wanted to do in the output section is write a draft email. It's a direct and concise response. This term here, like draft, as we get down here, it's just plugging the pieces together. It's not really drafting anything. The irony here is it's actually at this step where we're having Gemini draft the actual email. And there's a lot happening in here that I want to pull apart. So the important feature with that's supported right now is referencing a document. So I grabbed some frequently asked questions from a sample, just from the Bamboo 3D printers, just to do their frequently asked questions, dropped it into a document, and I just grabbed the URL. I said share because it's all within my existing Google account. I just grabbed the URL and then just pasted it right here. That's all we had to do, is just paste it into the reference document. Constraint: you must base your answers only on the content found in the linked reference document. Do not use external knowledge. I would even add sometimes, if you're having issues with this, something like, if you don't find the answer, it's okay to tell me you couldn't find the answer, depending on the type of model they're using. Okay, and then you have an output section which handles for formatting and all of the things you wanted to include. So here it'll say information not found in reference document. That's good to have also. Okay. So reference is there, and now the content generated or created by Gemini, that's the next baton that got passed from here down into here. And then what you can do is, this would be hard-coded, right? This is not dynamic. That thanks so much for your email, that's going to show up no matter what inside of every email that gets drafted. This is not sending a reply. That's an important distinction. I would be very surprised if Google ever lets you do that. I think this is a very good kind of macro.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Level set of, I don't think Google wants that. I don't think I want that. I want to, you get everything ready, do the research, and give me a draft, right? And then it's going to sit in my drafts for me to come review, and I'm the one that has to push send.
And that's how I found AI to be most useful in my workflows, is not end to end. I'm going to do this whole task for you, which a lot of times it can, but dialing it in to get that perfect can take time. So I look at it as a way to beat writer's block on tasks. Just get you started, get something on the paper. And so if Google can make that easier within Workspace, then I think that's really useful.
Yeah, perfectly said. I think that first draft, nobody wants to start looking at a blank screen, especially when it comes to answering questions. If we have any business owners out there, you get asked the same question over and over again. Like, that is anything that an intern can handle, Google Workspace can handle now, right? It can find the right answer, it can reference the documentation, and then generate a reply. And so when I come now into my drafts, I just have a list. I showed you guys earlier. There's like a cool little green icon they add to the email that says draft response. So it indicates that there's a draft that's been right here. And then it drops it in to the draft. And I'm the one that has to say send. So I can come in and grab the link. I can tweak it, whatever I want to do, and send a reply back. Really powerful stuff. So we've got each node or each step in the workflow had a specific job, right? And then it passed it all off and then got it ready for your review. Fun stuff. All right. Any other? Steve said, can you set all this up in gems to automate? So, Steve, a gem is like a project where a gem by itself isn't an automation, right? A gem is a collection of documents with instructions on how it should interact with you and instructions on how you want it to generate it. So my favorite examples of a gem would be if you write a lot of proposals, or I know in the nonprofit space, I've got friends who love writing grant proposals used to take them hours. Now they attach as document attachments to a gem. Here's 3 or 4 proposals that got accepted, right? Here's an example of one that is the wrong way to do it. Here's a documentation on our writing style. Here's a document with all of the different answers and sections you can pull from that are true about our company. Don't ever make anything up. Here's an example, a dedicated writing like me document that talks about my tone and phrases I like to use. And so then when I sit down to do that specific project or task, the output is, like I said earlier, just 10x better than just sitting down to a cold chat and trying to get it to follow your style, because it doesn't know what it is. It's just guessing. If you just sit down to a cold chat, it's just all going to be average. Okay. Another rant for another lesson. Good question. Okie doke. Good stuff here. Agents don't have to talk. So this is my quick comic on the landscape right now. I think that there's a lot of hype around. I think that Claude, I know for sure ChatGPT has agent mode where it's called computer use, right? Where we can ask an agent to go do something on our behalf, go book our flight, go do all this stuff. And I just feel, unfortunately, it's just not there yet. And it's not what I need. I don't mind, do some research, put together a plan for me, the cool places to go, maybe find the best flight prices or something like that. But I don't need you to actually take that kind of action on my behalf. And then there's all of the AI slop videos and people trying to post to LinkedIn with generated content doesn't sound like them. It's just making all of the other useful things that AI can do get lost in the noise. If we focus on delegating the boring, the mundane, the parts of our jobs we don't like, but are super, super important when we do them, and we are the approver and the reviewer and the synthesizer, the orchestrator, that's where I want you guys all to get to. And remember, when asking yourself, what is an AI agent? What does that mean? It's helpful to think of, there's really only 4 ways right now, 4 big buckets to ways we interact with AI. One is just through a direct one-on-one with a chat. We talked about the projects or a gem. And now inside of an agent, it's a way to let an automation trigger based on other actions have a preloaded or predefined chat with AI. So here's all the hypey ways I think we should avoid. Here's all the boring and pragmatic and actually useful ways. Drafting replies, routing a message by priority, applying labels, summarizing, extracting action items, check drafts against docs, review replies. So I think there's just so much noise about all of this other stuff, because this is what might get clicks, when this is the place I implore you to focus. There's just so many people. What is an agent? What does it even mean? I want to leave you with this analogy. So this is an interaction with a chat, whether you're in Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT. You can attach context, you can give it an instruction, you can paste some extra copy, and you hit enter, right? That within an agent or an agentic workflow, all we're doing is you have a predefined trigger. And the ones I showed you today, the trigger was, I received an email. The other trigger you can build is on a schedule, like every day at 8 a.m., research this topic and write a summary for me, right? And it can all be saved to happen on that trigger and then interface with an LLM without me having to look at it. If a tree falls in the woods, do we hear it? Yes, the chat is still happening, even though I don't have to be the one to execute it. So its job is, at its most basic level, to generate a response based on the preloaded instructions. And the ones we showed today, the logic part, I think the part people get lost is like, is it fully autonomous? Does it make decisions all by itself? I think it's better to, when you have it, just do really discrete things. I think there's a lot of noise of, I don't want an agent in my inbox. It's going to start sending all these emails and doing all this stuff and going off the rails. That's not at all how this works. It's very rigid, right? It's very defined on what's even possible. And especially when we make the task or the step of each agent or each chat very discrete and very explicit. All I can do is, does this require an action? Is this an urgent message? Yes or no, for example. There's one more analogy people like is AI automations, or this is just like rigid automations are like A to B, right? Whereas an agent is adaptive and can go wherever it wants off-road. I would like to say that agentic automation really is still pretty defined, right? It's these decision inflection points where there's potential, where based on the information that's coming in, based on the specific instructions we give the agent to analyze the step and say, does this exist or doesn't? The odds of it succeeding on that are really high. Okay, good stuff. So there really is a spectrum between a lot of times when people say AI agent, they think that it's like a voice agent. That's a whole nother category of agent. Again, I don't think they're quite there yet to be useful, even though lots of people use them. The most ones are text-based. It's where I like operating in a world of pragmatism where we can almost guarantee that giving a task to an intern, it's not worth it if they're going to get it wrong most of the time. That's when we're just like, nope, never mind, get out of my way. It's taking me more time to teach you how to do this. I just have to do it myself. So I'm a big fan of building automations that have a high likelihood of success. And this is where that happens to live right now. All right, so start quiet, decisions and drafts, not calls. Okay. Now, thanks for letting me rant on that. All right, wrapping up, I got one more cool demo. But first, I'm going to show you actually two demos. First, I'm going to show you N8N and why I love that. If you are a little bit more advanced and you've made it this far, I'm going to show you how to, because if you guys are like, I want to do that inside of my Google today, but I don't have access to Google Workspace Studio, you can today with N8N, okay? So recapping, while there is limited integrations in Google Workspace Studio, I think that's its strength right now. It's easy to use. Like within minutes, I could figure out where things were, how to use it, what it does, when it's working, when it's not, how to diagnose it. Really powerful. And I'm sure that with Google's budgets and Google's exposure, it's going to get better, a lot better. And even right today, the templates get you more than far enough. And then you always start there and start tweaking. I really think if you've ever been overwhelmed trying Zapier, N8N, or the other tools out there, do start with Google Workspace Studio. Okay, so now I'm going to leave you with a quick kind of skill that's versatile across any tool, especially when you want AI to generate something technical for you. I did a vibe coding workshop about a month ago where the first step is using AI to prepare, to do what's called a PRD or a project requirements or a product requirements document. Project managers know what these are. They spend hours and hours building them. And there's a lot of documentation on the internet about doing it right. And so guess what? LLMs are pretty darn good at making these. So I just grabbed a screenshot here of that one workflow that I did. I said, okay, I need you to interview me. Make sure we get a rock solid product requirements document, creating or converting this workflow into a complete N8N workflow. All right.
And let me interrupt real quick.
Please do.
That interview me step after going to your workshop last week, I've been doing that with kind of all my AI interactions. It really makes a difference. So I encourage people to do that when they're starting a project.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think the interview me step, whenever you're stuck on like, what should I write? What do I need to... what's most important for you to do this task? You define a task and you say, ask me a bunch of questions. And I like using the transcription or dictation tools so that I don't even have to type it out. Just ask me one question at a time and we run from there. So I won't bore you with all the details. It quickly analyze it just from an image and a quick description. And then it gives us, okay, great. This works. Give me the PRD in a well-structured markdown code window because it gives me like little copy and paste when I hover over. And now I've got this document on my clipboard. I go to a new chat. And this whole thing I'm doing in Claude, you can do it in any LLM. Anything you have access to, it'll do a good job. Because so many people know it's one of N8N's benefits is it's just created in an open source language that all models are experts at. Okay, create this workflow based on this. I want the N8N JSON workflow based on these requirements. 2 minutes later, it writes it all. And all I do is I grab copy and then paste right into N8N. I literally just click on the desktop or in the canvas and just pasted this right in there, complete, done, ready to go. I think I have it here. So I'm not associated with N8N. I wish more workflow builders would have this killer feature, which I think is the most underrated. I'm going to show you what it is. That beginning part's pretty cool, right? Just creating it from just a conversation. But the real secret sauce here is I just select any node. I hit copy and it pastes in that JSON. That node is just on my clipboard. I can paste it anywhere and say, hey, help me. I'm having issues. I need you to debug this or help me to get it working. There's no other workflow builder where you can take screenshots and sometimes it can give you advice, but it can't just fix it in the way that N8N or JSON is fixable. Okay.
I also would suggest Gumloop for
yes.
assistant that I found is pretty accurate.
I love it. Yeah. This is going to become less and less important as Gumloop and others have their own assistants that do a good job. I just wish more of them, darn it, I keep skipping ahead. Oh, so you can copy and paste the finished JSON right back in is the detail I was trying to show there. But good. I think you guys get the gist.
Okay. That's super. What I like about N8N is it can absolutely do any of these things that you want it to do. It's just like they've got that open source ethos, and it's really easy to build whatever you want. And it's just I get slowed down sometimes, and so I'm glad they have that JSON feature now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think unfortunately, with complexity, with breadth of ability, it inevitably comes with complexity, right? N8N's biggest weakness is you jump in and you're like, crap, how do I do this? So the perk there, it's like the biggest kind of, even though it's inherently hard, it's the easiest one to have AI build it for you if you've got the patience to let AI walk you through each step. That's where it fits. This has been awesome. I'm going to wrap up with one more demo, one more scheduled Workspace Studio thing I recommend trying. I hope that I hit your goals today, or my goals for you guys, giving you clarity on what an agent is and what it isn't and why it's so important. Despite Google Workspace Studio's limits, I hope you see it as a good place to start. Billy, can you drop in the survey for me? I would love to know how we did today. Let me know what else you guys want me to teach. All that stuff's really helpful for us. Thank you so much. Now let me end with a bonus tip. You guys take the second, please everybody fill that out. I give you this bonus. One of the last templates is to do research daily and add it to a document. And I had it each day. This is just a demo for, again, the 3D printer company, right? I just want to know about 3D printer news each day. Only focus on stuff that came out today. I'll show you the prompt that I used. And then add it to a document, a Google Doc. Okay? So I started with a template on a schedule. Remember, this is a new trigger or a new starter. You can define the time that it runs. You can define how often it runs and when you want it to end. There's some pre-built stuff there too. Okay, so that's what fires this all off. Goes into step 2, and we bring over the date. So we know what the date is, right? That's a variable. That's a baton that we can pass off on schedule. Hey, Google, or hey, Gemini, this is the time. Now give me an update based on the start. So it helped me start my workday. And I would recommend whatever Gemini has in this template, copy and paste it. Always use AI to write your prompts for you, to optimize them just for you. So I took the template they had and I dropped it into another chat. And I said, I want the template they give, of course, is like AI news. I wanted to know something about something more specific. And it rewrote it for me, for my industry. And it gives it strict requirements on the output and what it can look like and how I want it formatted, right? When it's done with that step, it passes the baton down, and you can see the variable here, content created by Gemini. And this is the document. If I click in here, it just goes directly to my workspace, and I can search for all of the documents that I have in my workspace. That's the one I want you to add it to. And what I love here is you can choose where to add new content. That's a really dope feature. And I wanted to just append it. So each day it's adding an update to the end of this document. Because who knows, I can attach that document to a gem, or I can do other things with all of that awesome context as it just slowly builds. And then you can see I formatted it to add a line.
So
and then
what you're saying is that you could have a gem with a document that is growing and making the agent smarter every day.
Totally. That's such a good... Oh, yes, totally.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
That's like the classic snake eating his tail. Holy cow. Or maybe not. It's just like this forever loop. It's just like a self-improving gem. That's fantastic. Really good stuff. Okay. So that's a fun tip. Any other last minute questions? Olivia, you rock. Thanks for being here. Anybody else have any questions? I'll stick around, but this is a fun session. I'm excited for you guys to get access. While I wait for questions, let me see if I can find the link. If you just go to this URL right here, I can paste it. I don't have that. Here it is, to everyone. So you can just paste it there. And let me just show you, like, if I were to choose an inbox that I don't have access to this yet, it's this support. It auto redirects to here, which will tell you how to request it from your Workspace admin to see if maybe they just have to turn it on. My bet is that they are experiencing overwhelming interest. So it might be a minute. I wanted to get out ahead of this so you guys could be prepared when it comes, so you can get out ahead of people, knowing what's coming and how powerful it is. This has been a blast. Thank you guys for hanging out on a Friday. And Lois, thanks for being here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.